In this video, I'm going to share my spiritual experience story from when I was a little girl up until now. Obviously, I'm going to condense it because I could keep you here all day. But I really would invite people who are watching who feel that they're empaths, sensitives, they're healers, or maybe they're just you're having a spiritual awakening or some kind of spiritual experience and you'd like to share your story. On a global scale, people are really waking up to their spirituality. They're waking up to the essence, the core of who they are. It's not about what you do for a living, it's not about your career, it's not about your assets, it's not about how good you look. It really is about the essence of who you are. It's about your emotional state. So it's a being state rather than a doing state that really does define the essence, your core essence of why you're here, what's your spiritual purpose. Most people want to know, why am I here? It's that major metaphysical question, what's it all about? Why am I here? What's my purpose? It can be uncomfortable for people, even though on a global scale, pretty much everybody is talking about spirituality and using the term waking up to who they truly are. It can still feel quite uncomfortable for me. At times I have an equally logical side to me which only works on facts and figures, and an equally creative and imaginative and higher perspective brain as well. Quite difficult when those two parts of the brain can be in conflict with each other. Especially as growing up, if you grew up in an environment that I did and it was all about the education, it was all about the mundane, the facts, the figures, the logic, the intelligence, follow the education system, get a good job, be normal, blah, 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 blah. If you had an upbringing like that, that suppressed your imagination, that suppressed your creativity, that would look down upon you if you dared to talk about anything like this and didn't follow the system, it can be really quite uncomfortable because at times I do still have that critical voice inside my head that keeps me fear-bound. When you're fear-bound, you're living through your ego, which is not the true essence of you. So let me just share my spiritual experience so far. So it started early on, as it does, with some people. I'm not sure how old I was, maybe about 7. And unbeknown to me, what I had done that day is done something called a remote viewing on my mum. I was out for the day with my grandparents, I was playing in the park, and all of a sudden I remember just stopping in my tracks, wanting to know what my mum was doing that moment. I remember shifting my consciousness and viewing what she was doing. And at that time she was mowing the lawn, she was mowing the front garden, it was a nice summer day. And I could see exactly how she was holding the wire of the lawnmower, which was behind her back, and she was mowing the grass. So when I came home that day and I said to my mum, I saw you today, you were mowing the grass. She was confused because obviously I wasn't with her, but it freaked her out as well. Now, remote viewing, there's a hell of a lot of science, hell of a lot of research on remote viewers. They've been using remote viewers since the 60s or even maybe earlier for different various reasons, the police, etc. Even the army. So it is something that we're all capable of doing, but obviously I didn't know at such a young age that that's what I was tapping into. So going on from then, the bedroom that I used to sleep in was really quite an energetic bedroom. It was like energy vortexes in there, which means there's portals for energy spirits to come through. Did see spirits in there, and I would also see other forms of energy that I just did not recognise at all. But through my research on YouTube with a lady called Kelly Rossano, I think she's quite a famous YouTuber, talked all about energy, she would call it space trash. So what this was really energetic forms of energy, lots of different bursts of colours, and I would literally have to sleep with a cover over my head. Following on from that, I read a book called The Celestine Prophecy, which you may have heard of. It's really quite a famous book, and that really did help me understand what the hell was going on. From then, I then was able to shift my consciousness and talk to, I don't know at the time if it was a guide, angel guide, a higher self, I'm not sure, but I just did what felt was right and I just communicated with a different aspect. All that at that time was complete woo-woo, so it was not talked about. I grew up in a household that was not open to anything like this, so it was very much suppressed. Science now thankfully proves that we are just made of energy, and all energy is frequency, vibration and light. It also talks about how our DNA responds to light, how our emotions are affected by our DNA, and how our DNA then interacts with the space in between us all, which then creates our reality. Science, thankfully, because I'm so much logical and spiritual, helps me be able to understand without it being a complete farce. It makes me understand how energy works, how, you know, all these ancient texts around spirituality from hundreds and hundreds and thousands of years ago are now coming back into the forefront of how we can live our lives to enrich our lives and to enhance our overall well-being. So I just wanted to share that little story with you, and I invite anybody here who's having a spiritual experience or having an awakening, whatever you want to call it, or whoever wants to know more about energy and how I work, I invite you just to share your stories, post them in this thread or private message me, or you can email me at iam@annemarielifecoach.com.